And for some reaction now, we are joined by the South African Jewish Board of Deputies Vice President Zev Krengel, and he joins us via our video link. Zev, thank you so much for joining us here on SABC News. Let's start off here. What is your immediate reaction to the minister's statement at the United Nations?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's Naledi Pandor. I've said it before. After the horrific massacre of Jews, kidnapping, beheadings, she first of all found Hamas to give them her support. Then she ran off to Iran to get her orders. And we as South Africans, unfortunately, have been captured by an Islamic jihadist who actually won't mind having Sharia law in our own country. So I really think South Africa has to be very careful of what's happened. I do find it actually terrible as a South African that the second story is about our fellow South Africans actually taken hostage underground for 48 hours as minors. And the government or the president doesn't really seem to care about their own people. They really love anyone who will kill Jews. And we've got the Springboks in Paris. She hasn't given them a single call. One of the most incredible moments in South Africa. And all she does, she runs to Islamic jihadists who are literally exporting terrorism throughout the world by phoning Hamas and going to Iran. And that's the best she can do. We don't deserve it as South Africans. South Africa deserves a better government and a better Minister of DIRCO that actually really cares about our own people and literally won't carry on flouting all her personal ideologies. It's a very dangerous place South Africa is in now. And I have warned South Africa, and I'll carry on warning. And when it does happen, it will come knocking on our door. But we've got miners stuck for 48 hours as hostages. And our government hasn't gone to the mine or managed or done anything. And he's at the Security Council, once again, doing the absolute rhetoric she always does. He's a very, very poor show on our own government.
And staying with the statement from Minister Pandor when it comes to the debate there on the Middle East, when it comes to what she's reiterated, the calls made even by President Cyril Ramaphosa for a ceasefire. What is your position when it comes to the calls made by Naledi Pandor today, the Minister of International Relations, for a ceasefire?
Well, look, I think once you've taken hostages, babies, old people, women and children, I think it's very hard to discuss a ceasefire. Let's have a ceasefire and let the miners stay as hostages down there forever. Let's call the ceasefire. I think at the end of the day, she was very, very excited about the mass murder of Jews after 78 years since the Holocaust. And I think she's very ill-equipped to play any meaningful role. We as the Board of Deputies fully support the two-state solution. We always have. But she has tried to totally demonize the state of Israel to make it easier to hate it, to make it easier for the babies to be murdered and massacred. And that's what she does. So it's the same of the same. She hasn't changed. She's been like this for many, many years. And just taken this country, what she's done to us in international standing with a laughing stock. I mean, she had no issue with the mass killings of innocent missiles going into Kiev, and no issue. And then she goes for the Security Council not condemning the deaths, but she still hasn't condemned Russia. She still really hasn't condemned Hamas. She hasn't sent in condolences. We have South Africans captured in Gaza. She hasn't even phoned. She hasn't even phoned those families. We have South Africans, we had to get 800 of them out of war-torn Israel. She doesn't even care about them. She cares about her ideology. And we, unfortunately, as South Africa, have gone down a road that is going to take... We might never get back from it. So and I am very, very sad.
And Zev, those are serious allegations you are making against the minister, considering what she did say in that statement she made before the United Nations Security Council. She said there's a serious violation of humanitarian law by both Hamas and Israel. She, acknowledged both of the two sides in the Middle East. She even went as far as saying, she was expressing concern when it comes to the violence, and attacks on both ends. But it seems as if you're only focusing on the one side here.
So look, first of all, she's at the Security Council, and she has now seen the brutality of the babies beheaded and murdered. But as I said, her actions speak louder than her words. She phoned Hamas, which she tried to hide from us. They told us about the phone call. She phoned Hamas. I mean, I don't know how too many people in the world got Hamas on speed dial, but our minister does. And then she ran off to Iran to have a conversation with her. She never mentions a word to her Iranian counterparts about the poor young woman who's now in a brain coma because of the so-called moral police beating up for not wearing a hot headscarf. Not a single word about the thousands and thousands of women that are being in detention without trial in Iran. And she goes and sits and she loves it and she feels so at home at Iran and she talks. It's just a double forked tongue. And unfortunately, South Africa deserves better. And until we choose to have a foreign minister and a government that worries about our people first and then worries about morality, to go and sit with Iran after what Iran's doing to its own people and to be so happy about being there and so excited. It shows where she is. It's her actions that speak about her, not about what she says in the Security Council.
Yeah, and coming to what the United Nations, the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, also said there, being quite firm with the conflict there as well, saying no one is above international humanitarian law. And of course, saying that, humanitarian law has been flouted on both ends. What is your comment as the Jewish Board of Deputies?
So look, we're very disappointed. I mean, the history's been so distorted. The Hamas were the ones who took all the pictures on their video camera, and then now they want to see the beheadings. People have enjoyed it. It happened to us in the Holocaust. No one would take us. No one would help us. 78 years later, I mean, thank God for America and for Europe and other people in the world, but and actually ordinary South Africans. But there are some people in the leadership position that really have never ever come to terms with the Jewish people having a safe haven in their biblical homeland. And it's easy to vilify Jews because then it's easy for them to be killed. I mean, that's exactly what happened in South Africa during apartheid. Our apartheid regime literally diminished and demised and vilified black South Africans, so it was easier to kill them. It's the exact same thing. And we have seen our government has been an incredible disappointment, not only to the local South African Jewish community, but anyone who really believes in. You can never justify people killing babies and beheading and mutilating and putting 19 bullets in little 6-month-old babies. I mean, this is stuff the Nazis didn't do. This is stuff that ISIS didn't do. Boko Haram hasn't even done. This is the worst of the worst. And it took the minister 2 weeks to even say it's like even-handed. And she, as I said, she has shown her colors. She phoned Hamas and then she ran to Iran. And doesn't care about the Iranian women who are all the Iranian people who have no votes, have to be in Sharia law, have been beaten up, have been murdered. She doesn't care. She sits with them. So unfortunately, she's got no moral compass. We know what she wants. We know what she wants. And as soon as South Africa works it out for all peace-loving South Africans, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Hindu, and everything, we want a constitutional democracy. We don't want Islamic jihadists. We don't want to become another Iran where our women can't go to. Can't walk out in the streets without a covering, which she puts on when she goes there.
Yeah, so, and Zev, coming and staying with the comments there also being made by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. We also heard there that the Israeli ambassador in the United Nations has called for Guterres to resign. What is your thoughts and just what is your comments on calls for the resignation of the UN Secretary General?
So look, I mean, I'm very far from calling for him. I'm a South African. I'm very worried about how my government's behaving in this conflict and how it's behaving towards our own people. I do find it amazing. She complains about that there's no water, electricity in Gaza and how terrible it is. But there's places in Alexander and Soweto that haven't had it for years and years and years. So we have to focus on our own problems, and we can only add value when we really choose to engage with Israel, which the South African government has chosen to vilify Israel over the last 10 years under this current government.
All right, then, Zev Krengel, thank you so much for your time. That is Zev Krengel, Vice President for the South African Jewish Board of Deputies.